Okay, this last example is going to be the one that requires the most work. It gives us the endpoints of each or the major axis and the minor axis. So we don't have the center, we don't have A, and we don't have B. So we have to calculate all three. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to determine the orientation so I can go ahead and get my formula out of the way. So let's just make a rough sketch. So really the only thing I have to sketch is the major axis just to see, well, did they come out horizontally from each other or did they come out vertically? That's really all I need to know. So the endpoints of the minor axis, yes, we're going to use those, but the major axis determines the orientation. So 9, 16, so over 9, up 16, we're just making a rough sketch. 9, 2, so same x value, different y value. So that means my major axis is vertical, which means my ellipse is oriented vertically. So let's go ahead and write that down. You got to know that. So that equation, x minus h squared, y minus k squared. Vertical means the largest value goes with the y because of the y-axis. Shorter value goes with the x. So that's the equation we're using. So now we can work on finding our center, our A value, and our B value. So since the values of A and B rely on the center, it's the distance from the center to either of those endpoints, the vertex, either vertices or co-vertices, we need to find that first. So let's go ahead and find the center. So now the center can be found from the major or the minor axis. So that's going to be a little bit of personal preference. And remember, the center is the middle. So we're going to be using the midpoint formula, not the distance formula, because we actually do want a point. Distance doesn't give us a point, it gives us a length. But midpoint actually gives us a point. So we can pick either. I'm just going to go ahead and use the major axis. Like I said, it really doesn't matter. We're going to get the same answer either way. So let's use 9, 16 and 9, 2. So the midpoint formula says add them up, divide them by 2, add them up, divide them by 2. So add your x values, divide by 2. Not going to type that in the calculator. You guys can do that, but it is 9. And then over here, 16 plus 2, 18 divided by 2 is 9. So my center is right there nice and neat at 9, 9. So now we work on finding A and B. So A, now that we have the center, I'm going to use the center. So A is the distance from the center to either of your vertices. So again, personal choice right here. So from the center, I'm going to use the lowest numbers. I'm going to go 9, 2. Let's do the distance formula. So x2 minus x1 squared, that's going to be 0. So again, if you want a shortcut there, it's perfectly fine. Just be extremely careful with that. Over here, y2 minus y1, 2 minus 9 squared. Type it in the calculator and you will get 7. So that is your A value, which if we go back to our sketch here, so here's the center at 9, 9. So that's your A value of 7 from the center to either one of those endpoints, just as a reminder. So now our B value, again, we're going to use the center point. So be extremely careful when you're finding that center point, because if you make a mistake here, it's going to mess your work up here, and then you just essentially have to start over. So just be super crazy careful. Again, I get to pick either one of those co-vertices. So I think I'm going to pick the 8, 9. I like dealing with smaller numbers instead of larger numbers. Again, just a personal preference. It really doesn't matter. So x1 minus x2 squared, y2 minus y1, again, that's going to be 0, so not completely necessary. Type it in the calculator, you get 1. So our equation, now we have all of our info. So again, we got our vertical equation up here. So let me see if I can't get them both in the frame, but that's okay. So center is 9, 9. Pretty straightforward there. Go ahead and put our equal 1. For vertical, the lowest one goes under the x, so 1 squared is just 1. Then underneath the y is going to be my largest value. 7 squared is going to be 49. Now this is an okay answer. This will get you full credit. Or, since technically anything over 1 doesn't really have to be there, you could just write it as x minus 9 squared plus y minus 9 squared over 49 equals 1. I will accept either of those answers, both for full credit.